Welcome to SubHub, the podcast where we dive deep into the strategies that power sustainable app growth. Today we're tackling one of the most misunderstood advertising platforms in mobile, Apple Search Ads. Joining me is Kevser Imirogullari, a mobile marketing expert and founder of Other Way Around, a consultancy that helps indie development teams navigate the complex world of Apple Search Ads optimization. Kevser has spent years helping small teams compete with big budgets, not by outspending them, but by outstructuring them. If you're an indie developer who's ever felt overwhelmed by Apple Search Ads, burned through budget without seeing real results, or wondered if you have enough money to even make it work at all, this episode is for you. We're going to completely flip the script on how you think about ASA success. Let's get started. All right, first things first is to welcome Kevser to the show. Welcome to SubHub, and thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure. So kind of before we get into our main topic, I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of your background, your history, what brought you to the place where you are today, and, just kind of when I'm talking to a developer, I like to ask for the developer story. So kind of a similar thing, like, how did you get into the industry and what brought you to where you are today?
So I was always interested in marketing, and I've been in digital marketing space for like almost over 10 years now. And because of the age, because of the century we are living in, so the normal marketing is not a thing that much anymore. So I start my career with digital marketing, especially in the e-commerce area, advertising, analytics, all that stuff. And then I shift my niche to mobile marketing approximately I believe 6 years ago. And funny enough, in my entire career, I worked in agencies, and then I ended up building an agency.
Right.
So my co-founder team and me, they are also very experienced in mobile industry. They are experienced in the SaaS side of the business, and I'm experienced in the agency service side of the business. And we came up and we built Other Way Around.
Awesome. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about Other Way Around and kind of what it does and what it offers to clients and kind of, the niche that you're in.
So we are trying to cover as many growth stages as possible. We are not just focusing on the top of the list kind of applications. We love indie developers and especially early stage apps. And as I said, because I'm coming from digital marketing and I see how actually hard mobile marketing compared to web-based platforms, I see the struggles of mobile marketers and developers a lot. And also because my other co-founders, they are coming from the SaaS side of the business, they also spent years trying to solve these developers' problems through products. So we try to build service variety of packages that will target the main growth problem of the developers. In the meantime, we will try our service fee will justify the ROAS, the growth. So we are always being conscious in terms of the growth, the value we will add.
Okay. And I like to fight jargon wherever I can in case people aren't already aware. So can you define ROAS for me real quick?
Of course, revenue, return on ad spend.
Perfect. So as far as ads, kind of our topic today is about Apple Search Ads and what you all are kind of doing to help indies and other people to understand what that is, as it can be a very big topic and something that I think maybe some indies just kind of avoid because it looks so scary. I know as an indie dev myself, I've dabbled a little bit with Apple Search Ads, and it's, at least as far as I can tell, very confusing and not very approachable, at least from what I've seen so far. So that's going to be our topic for today. I did want to call out to the audience that Apple actually recently rebranded Apple Search Ads to just Apple Ads. Makes it probably even more difficult to find, unfortunately. But for purposes of this discussion, we're going to use the term ASA, which is the old sort of acronym for what it was called, just for convenience. And also because likely if you all go looking for it, you'll probably find most of the resources will still be called Apple Search Ads as far as help and stuff. But just know that Apple did rebrand that to Apple Ads. So kind of if you go look at their official documentation, that's what it's going to say. So why don't we jump into, kind of understanding more about what Apple Search Ads, what ASA is, what it offers, and why maybe in particular we're focusing discussion around indies
Mhm.
and smaller devs, early stage startups. So like, basically, why would an indie want to use ASA in the first
Yeah.
place?
So consider Apple Search Ads is variety like of tools combined in just one platform. Apple Search Ads is not just a paid user acquisition channel where you download when you drive downloads.
Hmm.
Instead, think it as like a product market research tool, because what you are doing is you are driving traffic and you are seeing the data on keyword level, which actually gives you incredible amount of insights. Like, I think this will be very clear if I give a couple of examples.
Sure.
So one of the client we had was AI image generator application, and their content within the app was they had vast content in anime. So, but as well as other picture styles
Hmm.
like nature, etc.
Hmm.
So when we start running Apple search ads, the cost per install was incredible from anime related keywords like AI generation generator anime,
Hmm.
anime pictures AI kind of keywords. The cost per install was unbelievably low, but when we actually dig a little bit deeper, what we have seen is those installs actually not converting, because what you are attracting is younger audience, generally Gen Z, even maybe younger, and they don't even have credit card. So majority of
Right.
them are not converting. So the whole keyword segment is actually now trash.
Mm.
So the marketing strategy completely changed. And this was like an early stage application where still trying to find their market fit. But these insights are actually applied for even for apps in the traction phase. Like one of the other client we had, they had a receipt scanner app, and they were like in the traction stage, so they were actually earning good amount of money. They even have in-house team, etc. So when we built the structure Apple Search Ads campaigns, what we have seen is their hero feature is actually competing with discount receipt kind of applications, which are not their direct competitors, and which makes the keyword and the entire keyword segment low ROAS, while other keyword segments yielding more revenue with low cost per install. So after seeing these results, after these insights, they actually changed the priority in their developer side. They even I don't want to give a lot about the client, but they even start building separate applications around
Mm.
those keywords, those insights. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, at the end of the day, we want to drive downloads and hopefully revenue. Uh,
Sure.
but Apple Search Ads also gives a lot of insights in terms of what is working for you. Maybe you think the X feature is great, you are hyping about it, but actually users love using Y feature. And
Hmm.
the platform you will see is this insight is Apple Search Ads.
It's a really interesting, I think, way to flip your mindset on getting into using ASA. Like as a maybe if you're like the developer and maybe the founder of the app, right? You're the one running the whole business. I definitely would have, and I did when I used it before. Just think of it as like you said, sort of. It's a way. It's billed at least as a way to get users to at least see and maybe download your app, and then hopefully, of course, get all the way through and convert. It's not really up to ASA anymore at that point. That's on you. But at least you want to get an audience into your app, right? Who can be exposed to your paywalls and your features and stuff to see if they want to convert. And I wouldn't have thought of it as it's really like a different mindset, right? It's almost like abandon that idea for a minute and instead think, no, nothing like that. Instead, use ASA as a tool to learn more about your audience, whoever they are, and that could be surprise things that are surprising to you, right? Like you said, audience segments that you're like, oh, I didn't even know these people were interested in my app, or I didn't realize that this feature was, I thought it would be competing with X kind of apps, and it turns out that actually it's Y kind of apps that people are alternatively looking at, and so maybe I need to shift my focus on if I want to go after that audience, right? Shift kind of what I'm doing to match so that my product and the market, the PMF, right, that they come together, and I can get a marketable set of features. That's I think a really different way of thinking about using ASA, and a really valuable one if you're open to that, right? If you're open to potentially changing anywhere from a little bit to a lot about what you're doing within your application and your product, it can be a real teacher on getting you aligned, right, with what the market wants.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So I think there's our first tip, right? Indie developers is use ASA when you get into it. If you've not used it before, get into it more as a research tool than necessarily thinking that you're going to immediately see, like a direct ROAS on the spend that you do, turning right into converting customers. How have you kind of advised these people, these newer, people getting into it, to think about ROAS? I almost feel like you maybe even want to kind of shift the spend that you're doing on the ads. Maybe think about that a little bit differently very early on, so that you're thinking about it more as an investment into this research than that you're expecting, I put in $5, I should get back, X number of return. Do you counsel people on thinking about it differently, or is it kind of a standard like ROAS calculation?
If it's like a completely new app, and if you are getting the first insights, first results, then
Mm-hmm.
my suggestion is being patient. And I can't say be patient and continue spending to everyone, because I need to be sure you have enough keyword. Because
Right.
this insights I'm talking about, we are bidding almost like 500, 600 keywords in a very structured manner. And we are gathering these insights again, like we are looking at the keyword segments, grouping them, doing a lot of reporting stuff, etc.
Mm-hmm.
If you are doing just, if you are bidding only 50 keywords without any structure, without any broad exact match, etc., kind of
Mm-hmm.
difference, then you're gonna get not pure data, I would say. It might be a misleading data, but
Sure.
assume you built everything by book, everything
Mm-hmm.
looks good. In that
Mm-hmm.
case, my suggestion will be, yes, be patient and try to get installs first as much
Mm-hmm.
as your budget allows. And
Right.
then, yes, ROAS will be your priority, but try to understand which campaigns, which keyword segments are not driving good ROAS, or why their TTR, tap through rate, is low,
Mm-hmm.
because that means users don't find your app relevant with that
Sure.
keyword. Try to understand those, and if your app should relevant with that keyword segment you are aiming for, then try to improve your store presence, or maybe your feature, or maybe your onboarding. So the problem might be in a few different places, but try to identify where you did lose those users and ROAS, the revenue. Yeah, so I feel like I'm not giving a great tip, because it's very hard to identify where is the problem.
Right.
But at least what is working, seeing what is working is
Mm-hmm.
important, but it's also important to see what is not working.
Yeah, I think it's probably more helpful than you might think. If I were to reframe this slightly for maybe the developer founders who we're talking to, right, those indies, is that we're trying to gather data, and then we're trying to essentially debug, right, these problems that you may be having, and they could be related to, like you said, that you want to sort of narrow down within the funnel, where is it that people are jumping, they're exiting, they're jumping out of the funnel and saying, no, this isn't for me. Is it happening before they even get into the app? Is it happening in the store page where the keywords and the searches, and ASA is helping them get to your store presence, but then your presentation, your icon, your name, your description, your screenshots, your videos, they're just not compelling, and they're not, and people are like, nah, never mind, and they back up and they switch to the next search result and they go to your competitor? Or is it that, no, they install and they think it's cool, and then they open the app, maybe your onboarding is terrible, or maybe it's just misleading, or maybe a whole bunch of different reasons why that could be bad. But I think it's really great advice to say you need data to be able to start to debug that, right? I mean, the first thing a developer's going to do when someone says this app, your app is broken, the first thing I'm going to ask for is data. Okay, how did you start the app? Was it already running? Did it crash? Did it show an error? Right? You start to just collect information to understand the context, and then it gives you a starting point to kind of go look and find out where the problem is. I think you can apply the same methodology to this, which is use ASA as a way to get people in the door and gather some data, and then start to analyze, like you said, where are the problems. And it's probably going to be, it may very well be pretty rough in the beginning, where you're like, I don't really know where the problem is. Like, something's wrong. They're not converting, but I don't know where. And you just start to narrow it down until eventually you get to, oh, it turns out, the onboarding isn't triggering or something. There's some weird problem, and we were able to fix it, and now this process is improved. So I think even though this might feel, if it's a developer that we're talking to, even this might feel out of your comfort zone and more of a marketing type thing, I think you can apply your sort of engineering brain and your engineering methodology to it to
Exactly.
still get where you want to go.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not seeing the successful result in any keyword segment in
Sure.
terms of onboarding complete, trial started,
Right.
revenue, then it's not a campaign problem. It's like a you problem, your product problem.
Yeah,
So
totally fair.
there's
Yeah.
something wrong in the product. You should probably try to
Right.
fix that first. But
Right.
if you are seeing great results in one campaign and the other is not so great, then yes, that's the insight you can actually mine. And I can give a really straightforward tip. In Apple Search Ads search results, you created campaigns, you did the keyword research,
Mm-hmm.
you have a comprehensive keyword pool with, let's say, 500 keywords. Great.
Mm-hmm.
And you categorize them
Mm-hmm.
cleanly so you can mine the insights and start running campaigns. Anything except then competitor keywords, because those are already people who decided to
Mm-hmm.
download another application. No matter what your app is, the competitor campaigns, TTR and CR is gonna be lower compared to other campaigns. But I'm talking about generic campaigns where there is no brand name, yours or competitors. If you see anything lower than 4, stop it after 2-3 days. Stop it. If everything is lower than 4% TTR,
Mm-hmm.
stop everything and go try to look at your screenshots
Mm-hmm.
icon and try to make your store page more easier to understand,
Sure.
describing your value proposition, describing
Sure.
what your app is about. I'm not gonna say copy paste the successful ones, but what you can do is just find the direct competitors who are earning serious amount of money and try to understand what they are doing in their screenshots, in their icon. Even big applications sometimes mess the icon, but for their screenshot app preview videos, try to understand those and then try again. Because in Apple search ads, after many years of experience, if I'm gonna generalize the good TTR, I would say anything 6 or above is
Mm-hmm.
good tap through rate. That
Okay.
keyword is relevant, looks
Mm-hmm.
relevant, so we can work on this. But if it's between 4 to 6, I would say, okay, let's continue running, but also let's try to improve this. But if it's
Mm-hmm.
lower than 4%,
Mm-hmm.
stop what you are doing.
That's a great tip. I think those concrete numbers. So to understand for the audience, like what we're talking about, the tap through rate here is going to be somebody who searches in the App Store, gets a listing of results, and I'm assuming the tap through here is they tap on your app result specifically and get to your store page. Basically that's the first conversion that happens. They go from anybody, all the apps, to your app specifically in there. And so you're saying 6% or better is you're crushing it. It's great. Anything 6 is like questionable. Anything under 4, basically what you're saying is that if it's under 4, you're essentially wasting your money. You're spending money on those and in ASA, and you're just not getting the return that's going to lead to anything valuable.
Maybe you're not bidding on very relevant keywords, or
Okay.
maybe they are super relevant, but
Hmm.
your screenshots doesn't
Right.
reflect that relevance.
Hmm. Okay. Cool. Well, that's great. Those are some great, very concrete tips. So under 4, don't bother. 4 to 6, continue testing, and over 6, you're doing a great job. So let's kind of get into some more common mistakes that indie devs tend to make with ASA and how it can, like, you can crush your budget if you do this wrong. The first one being maybe something that if you've signed up for ASA before, the first thing it kind of asks you is, do you want basic or do you want advanced? And my guess would be that lots of indie devs probably pick basic because they go, well, I don't need all these fancy. I'm just going to do simple search keywords. I don't need anything too crazy. What is your advice on which one you should pick?
So, using the basic account is basically saying, take my money, give me downloads, and I don't care about revenue, I don't care about
Sure.
relevancy, and I definitely don't need insights.
Okay.
If that's you and you are
Yeah.
happy with basic, continue. But
Right.
the value of Apple Search Ads is getting insights and having control over traffic you are getting on keyword level. So that's why we always suggest using advanced. And after creating your shiny brand new advanced Apple Search Ads account,
Mm-hmm.
conducting a keyword research is the second most important thing, because I would say, in my opinion, Apple Search Ads is the easiest platform you can create ads, because you don't need to start, you don't need any video, you don't need an
Mm-hmm.
image, anything. Just from top of your mind, think about like a couple of keywords. Even if you can't think, Apple suggests you a few in
Mm-hmm.
the dashboard. You just
Mm-hmm.
put them, and then next, you created
Mm-hmm.
your first campaign, which
Right.
generally happens. So generally what happens is developers or small teams just trying to discover what Apple Search Ads is,
Mm-hmm.
they bid on very limited amount of keywords. And
Mm-hmm.
those keywords are generally the keywords with highest volume
Mm-hmm.
and also competition.
Mm-hmm.
And they bid on limited keywords, high competition keywords. They see the skyrocket cost per installs.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, their LTV is not very close to those numbers, or they are barely break even with the cost per action.
Mm-hmm.
So they come up to conclusion the Apple Search Ads is not working for us. It's
Right.
very expensive. If you run Apple Search Ads with this setup, of course it's not gonna work. It's not gonna yield the results we are hoping. So what you need to do is you need a proper keyword research. And with proper, I will still use exact numbers. I'm not gonna give vogue tips. So
Mm-hmm.
for a very simple, straightforward utility app
Mm-hmm.
for US in English
Mm-hmm.
language, for US, I would say around like 100 keywords is fine. But as I said, this is very straightforward utility app. Or think about like a step tracker app. There is no other
Mm-hmm.
feature, just step tracker. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when I say 100 keywords for these type of applications.
Mm-hmm.
For more complex applications with multiple features, etc., this number will go up and up and up. And the experience, I can say average 500 keywords is the number.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely more than I would have thought. So that's a good it's a good tip, and something to definitely keep in mind. So when it comes to keyword research and coming up with potentially as many as 500 keywords, I would imagine that probably the average developer is going to think of maybe 10, 20, 30 on their own. Like they could just sort of invent them, right, based on what they know about the app. But beyond that, you're probably going to need some help to understand variations and just different other words that you wouldn't necessarily think of. Do you have specific tips that you or guidance that you give to your clients about how they should do that keyword research and where they should go to look?
Any keyword research tool, mobile intelligence tool is
Hmm.
fine.
Okay.
So what they can do, they can one check out their direct competitors.
Sure.
their organic rankings, what
Hmm.
keywords they are getting traffic, and
Hmm.
as well as in I think most of the software tools have this feature now. The auto suggestions. Apple
Hmm.
auto suggestions. They can also look into those, and there are in different tools. There are different type of keyword research features, but all of them are kind of like similar, so they
Yeah.
can use any of them.
Yeah, so basically don't rely on your own invention, right? Like maybe start there, but then use one of these tools, the software to help you kind of get to where you need to be. So yeah, that's I think that makes sense. And I like the don't just go for the popular keywords that other people are using that have sky high CPIs and then you're like, "Hey, I spent all this money and I didn't really get anything." It's like, "Well, yeah, because you're competing against somebody with a way bigger budget or a whole collection of people with a collectively larger budget. That's not necessarily going to work. I will admit that my first experience of using ASA pretty much went the way you just described for an indie team, where it doesn't go well, and then you're like this, and I didn't think this doesn't work. The conclusion I can do is I'm doing this wrong. Like there's something is wrong with me. I'm not doing, because I know that it can. I've seen people do it and it can work. I'm like, so something I'm doing is wrong. So this is if nothing else, this is very helpful for me as a dev myself to understand this stuff better. What other kind of things do you find that people run into as far as just like really common mistakes with ASA?
So this is gonna be this is gonna sound very basic, but after years, I'm still seeing this. So people still use broad keyword matching type with exact matching type, and they also use search match on option with the exact keyword campaigns. So I just want to separate those. So exact, when you use exact keywords, your ads will be shown to that exact keyword or its plural version.
Okay.
When you use broad, anything from that area, anything like similar, is gonna be your target keyword, and you're not gonna see that when you look at the dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
You will see broad keyword and then the installs, the spam, etc. But the real search term
Mm-hmm.
is in the search term report section in the campaign, in the ad
Okay.
group. There's also one more thing, search match on option. This is specific to Apple Search Ads.
Okay.
There is no such a thing in any other advertising platform. So basically, what you are doing is you're turning on that feature, and you don't need to add any keyword at all. Apple finds relevant
Hmm.
search terms from your metadata, from
Okay.
what information it has.
Mm-hmm.
And majority of the time, it's not so great. So so it's not super relevant. Also, broad keywords better than in terms of relevancy, a little bit better than search match on, but
Mm-hmm.
still not so great. So what we are doing is we use broad keywords and search match on features matching type in discovery campaign. We
Okay.
create one campaign, discovery campaign. One of the ad group has all my keywords, but with broad matching type. One of the
Mm-hmm.
ad group doesn't have any keywords,
Mm-hmm.
and it's search match on. And also at the campaign level, all my keywords are negative, added as negative, exact negative.
Okay.
What I'm doing here, I'm doing so I'm targeting all. Let's say I have 400 keywords in my account.
Mm-hmm.
I add them into relevant campaigns with
Mm-hmm.
exact matching type, and I created a discovery campaign because I want to discover new keywords, maybe
Mm-hmm.
new trends. So as I said, one ad group broad, one ad group for search match. I add all my 400 keywords in one ad group,
Mm-hmm.
broad, and
Mm-hmm.
also at campaign level, I add 400 keywords as negative exact. What I'm trying to do is I'm already bidding on my bidding on those search terms with my
Mm-hmm.
exact campaigns. If
Mm-hmm.
I don't add those negative, I will bid
No,
twice.
sure.
So
Right.
I'm trying to avoid avoid that. And what I'm saying is, Apple, just bring me the variations. Do not bring me traffic from these exact keywords because I'm already bidding on those.
Yeah, so the discovery campaign really is like fishing. You're trying to say like, I'm already using all of these lures to capture people. So I want you to exclude all those. And then I want you to specifically in a couple different ways look for alternatives.
Yes.
And the whole point of that campaign is really not about conversions on their own. It's about like, what can I learn from this that I don't already know? And then my guess would be that you want to take the best ones, right, and start to incorporate them back into your what I call maybe your real campaign, right, the one that you're using to actually attract
Yeah.
customers.
Yeah, that's why checking the search term report regularly is very
Mm-hmm.
important. So you can continue adding irrelevant search terms as negative, and
Mm-hmm.
then continue like picking the relevant ones. Maybe you can add them directly to your relevant campaign, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe you can use our system. So we create another campaign, probation campaign, and we graduate those
Mm-hmm.
discoveries to probation campaign and observe 2-3
Sure.
weeks. And if we are sure, then we take those.
Yeah, they're the maybes, right? You're like these could be valuable, or maybe not, right? So you want to find out. Totally fair. Okay, so that's amazing. I'm definitely going to steal that tip and use it myself. That's fantastic. What other or do you have more mistakes that we can go over?
So another mistake is not having a structure. We can say not categorizing keywords.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to separate brand, generic, competitor keywords separately.
Mm-hmm.
Even you should not stop there. You should also go beyond a little bit more and separate your generic non-branded keywords. We call this keyword segments, like clusters. To give you an example, for let's say I have a running app,
Mm-hmm.
and I also have hiking feature in it, and I'm also targeting rehab because I have rehab plans as well. So what I can do, I can create different keyword segments like running or running, rehab, hiking. Maybe even I can go beyond. Maybe I can create plans like marathon, coaching, etc.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what we are trying to do is we are trying to understand which audience, which feature. Sometimes it's feature, sometimes it's feature slash audience
Mm-hmm.
is more relevant, higher profit, easier to get in, more competitive, etc. We are trying to get insights. So that's why we need to break those keywords as logical as possible.
Mm-hmm.
The another example I can give, sometimes, as I said, sometimes it's feature, like for Strava. Let's say we are creating Apple Search as campaigns for Strava. So
Mm-hmm.
we can create different keyword segments for running, hiking, cycling, walking, and
Mm-hmm.
what else Strava has. So we can create those. But let's say we are creating Apple Search as campaigns for Dropbox,
Mm-hmm.
the storage application. There's just
Sure.
one feature. What am I going
Right.
to do? So what you can do is this time you can actually break down your generic keywords by audience, by intent. So someone who searches like 32 gigabyte with, I don't know, like security encrypted.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is the nerd people who actually very into the tech side of the things.
Right.
And you can also separate people with like storage for videos,
Mm-hmm.
storage for Instagram. I'm
Right.
just I'm just
Sure.
making the keywords up, but you get
Right.
the point. So what
Yeah.
you will have users for social platforms or their
Mm-hmm.
photos. They want to storage
Mm-hmm.
photos. Some they want to store maybe higher, bigger scale.
Bigger files, right? Different types of files.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
you are doing is you are now separating audiences, and then after running the campaigns, you can come up with, yes, the I'm getting great traffic from tech navy people, but it took very long for them to decide to convert they're not
Hmm.
actually very easy to get revenue because they want to maybe pick other applications as well. But I'm actually, although it's more expensive, I'm actually getting great revenue from video and
Hmm.
image focus users.
Hmm.
So you can have this insight
Sure.
if you categorize your keywords with right keyword segments.
Right. I like that. I think the first example of like, take the features and the natural use cases that might come up for you with your app that you're probably very familiar with from somebody who's built the app. That's an obvious way to break it down, and that makes total sense. But I really like the insight of like what, like you said, what if the app is not that complicated on its face, and it's not obvious that it has all these like really specific segments. Think about maybe try and brainstorm about what are the ways my users are going to use this that maybe I wouldn't have thought of from the get go, right? Like from the beginning, maybe social media influencers are going to start to use the crap out of Dropbox for this very specific reason. And even though I didn't design it necessarily to work specifically for them, that's an audience that might be valuable. And let's look at it. So I think that's a probably particularly for people who have an app where the segments like that are not going to be really obvious. I like that insight of let's look at just let's spin it a little bit and look at it a bit of a different way to still get where you need, because there's what you can't do is just only have 20 keywords, right? Like that was we established that early on in the episode.
Yeah.
Don't just give up because you run out of ideas. Like you do need the comprehensive collection so you can cast a wide enough net and you can gather enough people. So you might have to get creative about how you create the categories. That's great. So why don't we move on a little bit to kind of the the conclusions of all of this data, right? Like, so we've gathered a ton of data. What are some things that you've seen developers do wrong when it comes to perhaps looking at that data and interpreting it and seeing things that aren't there, or humans are really good at like making up conclusions that aren't necessarily supported by the data. So what are some pitfalls you've seen around kind of analyzing this?
So at the early beginning, what I see most is developers focus on the installs a lot, how much installs they are getting, the cost per install, etc. But what you actually need to look at is the trial and revenue. And unfortunately, you can't have it. You can't have that data if you don't have correct setup,
Hmm.
like MMP
Hmm.
and right reporting. And unfortunately, just with install data, you can't measure the success or you can't
Fair.
scale. You're not going to have any answer. If you're not making money, you are spending, but you're not making money, you're not going to
Right.
get any answer. So the focus generally at the install side, at the early Apple Search Ads tries, but
Hmm.
I always encourage people to look at the post-install side of the performance.
Yeah, I mean, installs are fun, right? Like especially if you've just like hit the publish button on your brand new app and you're like somebody downloaded it. I mean, I get why people get excited about it. But you're totally right that just because they installed it, they can install it, open it once, check it out for 10 seconds, not convert, and then never open the app again. Like, and then so it counts as an install, but it doesn't really mean anything to you,
Mhm.
as they are not your customer. They just drove by your app real quick for 5 seconds and then forgot that you exist. So I feel like in some cases it's almost like a vanity metric, right? Like if you use installs as your number, sure, that's fine. But and maybe if you're ad based and you can prove people are coming back and using the app even if they haven't paid for it, you're still getting money through the ads that you're displaying. But most people aren't doing that. They're right there. They want to make real revenue from their application through subscriptions or some other thing. And so you need to know
Yeah,
those sort of beyond just that first number, right? That's just the first step is installing.
and also there are cheaper platforms than Apple Search Ads if you only care about install numbers. Or if you only care about install numbers, there are cheaper countries, but majority is focusing on US because we focus on revenue, right? But if before you actually focus on revenue, if you want to like kind of like if you're after test users to understand the performance of your app before actually launching the decent, proper ad budget, you can get cheaper downloads with other advertising platforms or again Apple searches, but from different country, way cheaper
Hmm.
than US.
Yeah, that's another really good insight, right? Is like you might just assume that, well, I need to target the United States, right? But that's depends on what you're trying to achieve. I mean, I think it's a good thing to think about. Don't just dive headfirst into some of these things. Think about like what is your intent as the business owner, right? What are you trying to achieve, and how can you best get that? Because it certainly seems like doing this without care, you could just set a whole bunch of money on fire with ASA and get nothing for it, and then you're like, why did I even bother with any of this? So kind of in that regard, you've already given lots of useful tips in general, but like if you were to build a dream ASA setup, right, for a new team, what would be kind of the key points that you would look for or that you'd want to see happen? If we're starting from scratch and you can do it exactly perfectly, right, the way that it's supposed to be done.
Okay. So not much different from what we talked so far, but there is one more thing. I created a framework in other way around, and we always use this framework. So what we are doing is, so we complete the keyword research. We find our 500, 600 keywords, etc. And another key information here, we are trying to not exceed 40% of the keyword pool in terms of search score 5 keywords, because search score 5 means there is no traffic or little traffic. I don't know, that's why I'm putting search score 5 here. That's the way of mobile intelligence tools the traffic amount if you see the 5. So we are trying to not exceed 40% of the total number of keywords. We complete our keyword research and then we manually start categorizing. The first thing we do is brand, generic, competitor category. And then we start categorizing the relevancy. In other way around, what we do is North Star, extremely relevant, relevant, somewhat relevant, low relevance categories.
Mm.
But it doesn't have to be like this. You
Mm-hmm.
can put maybe like percentage
Mm-hmm.
from 100, you can score the relevancy however you like, or you can just create three relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So what we are doing is, and I wrote a blog post, and also I shared this on my LinkedIn, that the exact framework. If they want to learn more, they can check it
Awesome.
out. So after doing manually all keywords, we categorize their relevancy. And we continue by creating the keyword segments, clusters. And after doing this, we do the metadata optimizations, as well as we create the Apple Search Ads campaigns based on this keyword pool, this categorized keyword pool. And we are not bidding on low relevance or somewhat relevant keywords, only relevant, extremely relevant, and North Star keywords. And when we create our campaigns, the keyword segments are campaign and the relevancy levels are ad groups.
Okay.
So what does that mean? So that means, let's say you need to cut budget, but you don't want to turn off all your campaigns. What
Sure.
you can do, you can go ahead and just turn off the relevant ad groups.
Mm-hmm.
So you will also have all your segments separately. So with this structure, you can also get insights for organic optimizations as well as the vice versa. So I suggest using a structure like this. As I said, it doesn't have to be my exact framework, but
Sure.
especially thinking, I'm assuming almost all developers, especially indie developers, are very good with AI, and I'm sure they are using multiple AI tools.
Mm-hmm.
So the easiest way to use AI for App Store optimization and Apple Search Ads is teaching your strategy, your keyword pool with a structure.
Mm-hmm.
We try to do keyword research just with AI. It's
Mm-hmm.
still not there. It's just
Yeah.
can't do it. And I don't think it's going to be like this year or next. But other than keyword research, it's actually really good. If you explain your keyword segments, like,
Mm-hmm.
as an example, we have a lot of structure inside, like North Star keywords. We can't pick more than 10 North Star keywords, and all my North North Star keywords will have their own CPPs, because my ultimate goal is ranking number one. And
Hmm.
sometimes I am okay sacrificing ROAS because I'm trying to support my organic ranking. So
Hmm.
North Star keywords have their own rules.
Sure.
Extremely relevant keywords, they have their own rules. And
Hmm.
this structure goes on like this. As I said, they can copy paste my framework, and I can even explain this further in another blog if they want. But they can create their own framework, and they can
Hmm.
explain AI their own structure.
Hmm.
And I'm actually doing this in other way around. We are actually creating AI agents and
Nice.
a software which will take care of everything, hopefully. And I can say the results are very promising. It understands your AI, understand your strategy if you have a clean structure.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, that
they can utilize they can utilize AI a lot,
sure.
because at the end of the day they will have 500 keywords. And
Hmm.
let's say Apple Search Ads working great and they decided to expand Apple Search Ads for two another countries
Hmm.
or three another countries. What it makes 2,000 keywords now. So
Hmm.
it's really hard to do this manually and wearing
Right.
a lot of hat. You can definitely utilize AI or other bit automation tools to save time, but you don't have to pay bit automation tools if you are very strict in a budget, if you are bootstrap. So
Hmm.
you can utilize AI, macros,
Hmm.
spreadsheets, your own tools.
Right, right. No, that makes total sense. That and particularly, I found that to be the case too for really kind of any use of AI. Right, the more context structure that you can provide it as you're explaining, this is how this is supposed to work. So then now, when I start asking you questions or I want you to come up with new things, don't just come out of it out of the blue. Right, like make sure that it fits within this framework and with the structure. And I found that just like you, that if you do that, the AI output can be much more valuable than if you are more just like you give it a one sentence and say do this. It'll give you an answer, but the answer is often not very helpful. So that's a really good. It's good to create the structure for yourself, for your AI tools, for your automation, for the campaign success. Right, like this isn't just we're not just saying this to to say it. Right, it makes sense and is useful in a variety of ways. I did want to ask you a quick question about keywords. The word keyword in the context of Apple, App Store listings. We're talking about keywords for ASA for search results, but also as a developer, we're required to put keywords as part of our ASO strategy in the listing itself. And there's it's very specific rules. It's limited to 100 characters and whatever. And there's a formula for how Apple uses those keywords when they're using them to provide organic search to the search engine that runs on the App Store. How does those keywords specifically, since they're so constrained, how do they relate to let's say the 500 keywords that you've created for ASA? And maybe, so I kind of have two questions. Like, would you want to seed your ASA keywords initially with those keywords from the App Store, and then kind of in reverse, like as you learn things, maybe some of them go backwards and end up getting listed in the keywords in the App Store to kind of like make it better? What's the strategy there?
So you can refine your metadata, your title,
Mm-hmm.
subtitle, and keyword list
Mm-hmm.
according to insights you're getting from Apple Search Ads. Like, as let's go with example again. So let's say I ran the campaigns and my hero keyword segments,
Mm-hmm.
let's say one of them is running, one of them is hiking, and both of them are super relevant to me. And most of the traffic is coming from these two keyword segments. And
Mm-hmm.
I use them in my title, in my
Mm-hmm.
subtitle, and I'm trying to cover as many keywords as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look at the Apple search ads, what I see for both of them, my TTR is really good. My rankings are okay, almost like equal, but running is extremely expensive.
Hmm.
So in this case, for App Store optimization, if I have to focus on one keyword segment, because as you said, it's a very limited area, and the highest weight goes to title and subtitle. Of course, keyword fields still get indexed, very important, but the highest competition, the hardest to rank keywords needs to go to title and
Hmm.
subtitle. So I need to
Hmm.
prioritize something. And from this example, you can decide on, okay, this is super related to me. My TTR is really good. Everything is really good. My onboarding, trial, everything is going great. My LTV is great. But this keyword segment is absurdly expensive.
Right.
And believe me, you will have these keyword segments. Like
Hmm.
right now, it is for AI note takers.
Sure.
So last year, it was AI image generators.
Hmm.
So I wonder what's going to be next year.
Yeah.
So you
AI something probably.
AI something, yeah, definitely. So you can prioritize the expensive ones, or you can see a keyword segment with good revenue and also good TTR. And you can just, when you look at the metadata, you actually don't even have those keywords in any area in your metadata. You can decide to put some keywords because to rank better organically, Apple looks couple of things, but the two things are very important. The ranking algorithm looks into your conversion rate, how well you are converting from that search term, and also how many downloads you are getting from that search term, from that keyword. So you are already getting traffic from a keyword or keyword segment, and you have good TTR and CR, but you don't have that keyword in your metadata. You can, as soon as you see something like that, you can replace a low performing keyword with that one because you already have the science
Hmm.
well ranking keyword
Hmm.
from Apple Search Ads.
Okay, makes total sense. So let's kind of move on to measurement and tracking in particular. You did mention MMPs earlier. Could you kind of just quickly explain like what is an MMP and why would you want it? And how does it kind of connect into using ASA and getting success?
MMP mobile measurement platforms are essential if you want to optimize your Apple Search Ads campaigns and also scale your Apple Search Ads campaigns while staying positive ROAS. Because you need to optimize all your campaigns at the keyword level. So there is no optimization methodology you can do at campaign or at ad group level. I mean, on ad group you can add CPP custom product page to improve the performance, but in terms of bits or playing around with placement, etc., there's nothing you can do. What you do is going at the keyword level and changing the bits one by one for each keyword. And if you can't see the post-install results on keyword level, you can't optimize the campaigns. And what generally I see is there are a lot of tools, and in some of them they see Apple Search Ads, but they see Apple Search Ads trial and subscription results, but they see it on campaign level or channel level, and they confuse that data with MMPs, because in the MMP you can see on the keyword level, which with the data we need in order to change the bits accordingly. So that's one of the biggest confusion I see.
Okay. And when would you suggest, like, if we're talking about kind of the timeline of a team, getting into all this and using it, if it is the day that they're opening their App Store Apple Search Ads account and choosing advanced, not basic, is an MMP critical from the very beginning, or is it something that you want to grow into? Kind of, what's your advice as far as when to apply it?
In my opinion, day one.
Okay.
If you're gonna, when you will look into the revenue and subscription data from
Hmm.
Apple Search Ads, probably day 1 or 2. So that means you need MMP. The
Right.
another thing I can suggest for a really budget constrained apps, they can create custom product pages.
Hmm.
By copying the default product page, they don't need new screenshots. They can just
Hmm.
copy paste their default product page, create a custom product page, and
Hmm.
then they can use those custom product pages in campaigns, in different campaigns,
Mm.
because in App Store Connect, you
Hmm.
can see activation and in-app purchase data, proceeds, revenue on custom product page breakdown.
Okay.
If you create custom product pages for, as I said, this is for very early apps with really
Sure.
low budget to trying to understand what's going on.
Hmm.
Well, let's say they have like 4 campaigns in total. So
Hmm.
what they can do is they can create 4 custom product page, just
Hmm.
copy pasting the default product page, and
Hmm.
they can use them in their campaign separately, and they can check out what is the campaign level trial subscription revenue.
Hmm.
But as I said, this is a temporary solution. If you are getting results from Apple Search Ads, if you see results, if you want to scale, if you want to maybe expand to other geos, you will
Right.
definitely need an MMP setup, because you will further develop strategies. You start using custom product pages, and you're not going to stop there. Maybe you will show different paywalls to different
Hmm.
keyword segments,
Right.
because like the greatest example is someone can run maybe all year round. It doesn't requires a lot of
Sure.
equipment
Right.
investment, but if you're a serious cycling person, you probably invest a lot. And if
Hmm.
I am showing paywall to runner or cycling person,
Hmm.
I can show different paywalls.
Right. It isn't just necessarily about showing a picture of somebody on a bicycle versus somebody running in the street. It's also about kind of what's the value proposition that you're presenting to that particular audience and what is their willingness to pay, right? And those might be different values depending on who it is that you're targeting. That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean we at Adapty, right? That's part of our value prop is being able to almost infinitely customize the specific value proposition that you're showing to your user through a paywall and maybe even having it extremely focused, right? Maybe that paywall is really only meant for a very small collection of people, but it's very targeted compared to perhaps just having a paywall, a single paywall that you're going to present to everyone, and just hope that what you're showing is going to be kind of good enough, right? It's going to be valuable enough that people are going to jump in, and that is one way to do it. But another way would be to segment it very carefully and show a specific value proposition to a specific collection of people. So yeah, that I think it's probably not something you have to do on day one, like you said, right? Like that part of it, but the like we were saying before, the data collection is valuable. So even if you're not going to take action on all this data immediately and infinitely segment and customize, gathering it and having it so you can see those insights and you can make those changes later is useful. And I like the idea of kind of using custom store pages as like a cheap budget way to sort of fake an MMP just briefly, right? So you can get that insight before you actually have to shell out the dough to get a proper MMP. So kind of let's wrap up here with there's been tons of really valuable advice. So if nothing else, thank you so much, Kevser, for coming on the show and sharing. If even if no one listens, I learned a ton, and it was extremely valuable. I'm sure people will listen, but I can tell you, first of all, thank you from me because I learned a whole bunch of stuff about how to do this more in a smarter way. But kind of if you were to kind of boil it down to what success looks like what should I be striving for when I do all these? I implement all of your tips and tricks. What does that look like, kind of at a broad level? Like what should I be using as the metrics of success there?
Mhm. So, like for almost all paid user acquisition channels, we can say scalable revenue with high ROAS. Of course, we are dreaming of this, and
Sure.
this should be the ultimate goal. But I want to draw your attention to one important critical point, which is really easy to miss, but it's a very simple point: the brand campaigns. Like
Hmm.
even big teams sometimes miss this point, and when they are trying to define the success, define the performance, to understand the performance of the Apple Search Ads campaigns, they include their brand campaigns. But
Mm.
the brand campaign is actually you are building an awareness outside of App Store, maybe with your meta campaigns, maybe with word of mouth, etc. And then those users come to App Store and searching your name, and your brand campaign is capturing this traffic, this
Hmm.
revenue. And if you include this revenue to your performance metrics when you are trying to understand Apple Search Ads is working for you or not, this is kind of like a misleading calculation. I would suggest excluding this and only looking into the non-branded campaigns, and this is the ultimate goal. We want to drive traffic. And another thing is, as I said, not seeing Apple Search Ads as another paid user acquisition channel. It's actually a very valuable channel where you can maybe test ideas, get insights. You can test maybe messaging for specific features, specific audience with CPPs. You can get insights about your features, how sticky your features, how easy to acquire users with X feature, Y feature, which one is more profitable. All these insights available with Apple Search Ads. And the last thing is aligning Apple Search Ads and App Store optimization is I think if you are not doing one or another, you are missing a lot, because basically in App Store optimization, you are playing around with same keywords, and you are also working a lot with designs, because let's say you are doing like decent Apple Search Ads. In that case, you probably design a lot of screenshots for CPPs. Why you're not testing those in App Store Connect? So why the one and other are very connected and support each other. So when you invest in Apple Search Ads and get constant regular traffic from keyword segments, what you are doing is actually you are creating sticky organic rankings, which will be the safety net when you cut the budget.
No, that's perfect. Yeah, I think having ASO and ASA go together, right? You can't really have one without the other. You need both, and that's partly why I wanted to ask the question earlier about how do the keywords in your listing connect to the keywords in ASA, because they seemed connected to me, obviously, but I wanted to make sure, right, that made sense as part of the strategy. So yeah, it's great to hear that is the idea, and and you want to, if you need to have a good looking storefront, right, before you do anything else, the storefront itself has to be enticing and interesting and attractive to folks before you bother advertising people show up at your storefront, right? Because otherwise, they'll get there and go, this isn't for me, and they'll just walk by. So it's important to remember that both things are valuable. We've had a couple of ASO experts on the show, and they've given some good advice. So for those of you maybe who are just joining the show, go look at our back catalog. There's some great advice there too, in addition to what Kevser's shared. So there's lots of data out there that you can learn from, and there's lots of really useful data that was presented here today. So thank you, Kevser, so much for coming on the show and sharing all your insights. Super, super valuable. I learned a ton, and I think our audience will too. Is there anything that you wanted to promote or share to the audience as far as blog posts or whatever? We'd be happy to share any of those things in the in the description as well.
I think I'm fine.
Okay. Okay.
I
Cool.
couldn't think of anything,
No problem.
but I'm always open to help.
Sure.
I really like helping people, and that was one of the thing when we create our packages. We have one
Hmm.
actually package Level Up, which we create an education program, 6 month
Hmm.
education program. We do
Nice.
the operations with client's team, and And
Hmm.
also we are running educational sessions because I really like helping people. So I'm really open to any question. If anyone come up with any problem
Sure.
when they are applying any suggestion, yeah, just don't hesitate to reach me.
Of course. Yeah, we'll put your links to your socials and all the way around stuff in the description and in the podcast show notes. So anybody who wants to learn more, they can definitely do that by just clicking below. Well, thanks so much, Kevser, for coming on the show and sharing all your insights. It was wonderful, and hopefully maybe you'll come on in the future, and maybe when that new AI app comes out next year that everyone is searching for, we can talk about that again.
Hopefully. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Fantastic. That's a wrap on today's deep dive into Apple search ads. Remember, you don't need a massive budget, you need the right structure. If today's episode helped you see ASA in a new light, here's how you can help us reach more indie developers who need to hear this. For those listening on audio, hit that subscribe button in your podcast app or leave us a review in Apple Podcasts and share this episode with any developer friends who you know are struggling with their ASA campaigns. For those watching on YouTube, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel, and then also drop us a comment below to let us know your biggest ASA challenge. Notes for this episode, including links to all the resources Kevser mentioned, are available in the podcast show notes or in the description below. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.